I've learned to think bigger through our conversations and through our meetings. I dream big, but then I'm like, oh, let's just scale it back. Let's just do this right here. You don't hold yourself back. You're like, why go for this when I could just go for like 10x? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can go for 10x what I want. And I have to say, Shirley, when you see someone playing big, showing up and expecting that big things will happen, then in return, you start playing bigger.
You're listening to She's Got Drive podcast, the podcast that inspires women to be a driver in their own life through the life and stories of Black women with drive. And I'm your host, Shirley McAlpine. I'm a business consultant, an executive coach, and a leadership facilitator working with people and organizations to live their lives by design and not default. Welcome back to another episode of She's Got Drive. Welcome back. This episode is an episode where I'm sharing it with a good friend of mine called Martine Severin. And it's really lovely to have a friend, like a mate on the show. We are spending some time talking about being accountability partners for one another and what that is bringing and the results it's producing. And I wanted to share this episode. I wanted to do this episode, should I say. I wanted to do this episode because when you want to produce a result, when you've got really challenging goals that you've set for yourself, it's really good to have an accountability partner. And I know some people use that phrase and some people are like, well, what does that mean? And how do you do it? And how do you make it work? And how does it really lead you to produce any results? So rather than me doing a solo episode where I kind of give you a guide on how to set up an accountability relationship and all of that, I thought one way to do it, a more kind of interesting way, if you like, of doing it is, not that I'm not interesting, but a different way of doing it is to have Martine on the show and us to talk about our experience of being accountability partners together and how it came about, what we're getting from it, what are the results that we're producing as a result, and how to set up in a way that works. And so that's what this episode is going to be about. So stay tuned. If you have goals that you want to achieve, if you have got challenges ahead and you want to figure out how you set up a really good, strong support structure for you to win at those goals, then stay tuned for this episode. And then we're going to share about our relationship and how that's working. Now, there's a couple of resources that I've got that I think will be helpful for you if you're in that place and you've got things that you're playing for. There's two things. There's going to be a PDF that you can download about accountability partnerships. And so I decided to give you a guide, like a checklist that you can look at to make sure that when you're choosing your accountability partner, you choose wisely. And also, once you've got an accountability partner, how are you setting it up in a way that works? And so I've written that down, and you can download that PDF, that free PDF resource for you, and it's called My AP. So you can go to shirleymcalpine.com/myap. That's shirleymcalpine.com/myap, and the link is in the show notes if you want to get hold of that PDF to give you a guide on how to set up a good accountability partner relationship. And the other thing that's relevant to this, of course, is if you are someone who hasn't set some goals and is really starting to think about the goals that you want to accomplish, or you're already, as we come into the end of 2019, you've already got your eye on 2020, then I remember I have my 4-step goalkeeper that you can use, that PDF that you can use and you can download, and I've got really good feedback on that. It's really, people are finding it helpful. So you can go to shirleymcalpine.com/goalkeeper. That's shirleymcalpine.com/goalkeeper to download that PDF so that you can get hold of that to support you around your goals and creating your goals. So those two resources are for you. As I said, the links are in the show notes, and I'll repeat that at the end of the program as well. I want to talk about something that I'm really excited about that I'm going to start doing for the She's Got Drive audience. And that is I'm going to start having Facebook Lives. So after every episode, the following week after that episode's release, I'm going to jump on Facebook and we're going to have conversations about the key theme or core theme that's emerging from the episode. So this week is about accountability and how we set up structures for success. The previous episode with Michelle Miller was around our success in relationship to failing, and how failing is en route to success, and how do we shift our relationship to failing. So that would be as a conversation that we would have. So whatever's the predominant theme in the episode is something that I can talk about. I can take questions from you and we can explore and have a conversation. And I'm really excited about going on Facebook Live. I've been wanting to do it for a while, so finally getting my act together, because I feel like there are so many questions that the episode brings up for people, and it's a place for my listeners to go to, and also to find out, like, how do I then implement the insight that I have having listened to the episode. So that's what I'm going to start doing from the 19th of November. Look out for the promotion around that. I'm just really excited about that. So I wanted to let you know to tune in to Facebook Live at midday on a Tuesday. And of course, it could be, you can access it if you can't listen to it live, coming live, but look out for that coming soon. Okay, so let me tell you something more about Martine. Now, Martine Severin is a Chicago and LA-based fashion and lifestyle photographer whose vibrant work aims to push boundaries and celebrate inclusivity. She has lived in different parts of the world, including France, Belgium, England, and Boston, but her roots are tied to her home country of Haiti. Interested in creating fashion narratives that reference non-Western norms, she strives to collaborate with brands who speak to a diverse audience. She does beautiful work. She is the photographer that has been taking those photos of me that you see on Instagram. Those, clearly the ones that are taken by photographers, not my selfies, of course. She does really beautiful work, and so I'm really excited to have her on the show. So welcome, Martine. Martine, thank you so much for joining me on She's Got Drive.
Thank you so much, Shirley. I'm so excited to be chatting with you.
I thought it'd be a good idea that if we sat down and talked about what we're doing together, and in this whole conversation about an accountability partner, to bring it to life more, rather than me just kind of going through on my own, like sharing with my listeners, what makes for a good accountability partnership, because I think we have one and it's really working, and I think it's kind of helpful to bring it to life, what we're doing and why it's working, and we're in the middle of it, and so it feels like a good time to share.
I'm so excited that we decided not too long ago, actually, to become accountability partners, because we both wanted to have just really major mind shifts in the way that we approached our work, and needed to take action to be aligned with those mind shifts so that we could have the outcomes that we both wanted. So right. An accidental conversation, and now we're making moves.
That's right.
It was back in August, and I had just returned from holiday in Australia. And I remember telling you, we were on the beach. And so thank you so much for really pushing me towards doing a little bit of self-care in August by suggesting that we go to the beach every day of that week.
We did, yeah, we really did do that.
And I met you every day around 10:30. I think we started chatting on the second day at the beach, right? And I was talking to you about my trip to Australia and how I purchased a journal and started journaling. And through that journal session, I really came to realize that, or at least I came to write about all the things that I really wanted in my life, really try to focus on the person that I wanted to become. And as we were chatting, you said very, very wisely that the gap between who we want to become and the person we are is very small. It's just like minor shifts and tweaks that we need to make in our lives in order to really be present and to grow into that person that we want to become. And then you in turn shared all of the things that you were working on. I think I said something like, I know I need to do all these things and I know I can do it, but I just need someone to hold me accountable to what I need to do. And I think that's where it all came from, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It may feel major at the time, like the shift that needs to get made, but when you make the shift, then the work to go for closing the gap gets smaller, and then it becomes about the focus around how do I close the gap and how do I start to really work on those things. I think, yeah, what I could see for myself was a program that an online program that I want to put out in the world, and a program that's been in the background for me, wanting to get it out there for a while, and me really knowing that I just need to get on with it. The time between the knowing I just need to get on with it and all that time before, for all the reasons and justifications that we have for not doing certain things, like now that knowing that I was in that point, kind of like where you were, the mind shift was already occurring. That work you done in Australia, the shift was already occurring, and then knowing the energy for change or the urgency for change had already started. And so it's just like, right, we just need to get on with it. And I really heard where you were, and I thought we were in a similar place. And so then it was just like, you said how you need someone to hold you accountable. I said, well, why don't we be accountability partners together for each other, because we feel like we're in a similar spot of pursuing the next level for us, whatever that next level is. Yeah. And that was the end of August. And then so we was like, okay, we immediately got out our calendars, and then we put our first meeting in our calendar.
Yes. And I think what's really great, Shirley, and I think you and I are both planners. We like to have a plan. And, the thing is, I came to our first meeting already knowing everything that I needed to do. So it wasn't that I didn't know what I wanted, or at least I suppose in Australia I had mapped it out. And since it's a heck of a long way to Australia from Chicago, I had 13 hours and then some on the plane to kind of like to draft it all out. And so I did that. And so when we met, I already really knew everything that I wanted, and it was just a matter of doing it. So as you said, it was like the car, the engine was idling, and I just needed to put myself into drive. And I think that's what our meetings have really helped me to do. So thinking in general what I needed to do in 3 months, and then just like going into our meeting and breaking it down month by month, and chatting with you about it so that we could make magic happen.
Before we agreed what we would come to the first meeting with, we needed to come having, you already had done that work around writing stuff down, and you did some more prep for our meetings. I had already started writing down what I want, but not just for my course, but I just started to I looked at broadly where I want to be around my work, around my life, and what I want, and then wanted to share with you like the broad context of where, and then exactly, so between now and the end of the year, what is it that we want to accomplish, and then we can work to focus in on the time between our meetings. And we meet between 3 to 4 weeks apart.
I expected to come to the meeting and to have each person taking note to hold the other accountable. But I think one of the things you said, no, just listen. It was really interesting that, yes, we're accountability partners and we both are grown women. And we know what we need to do. And what we just needed is someone to be there and listen to what the goals were and the action steps that we had to take. And it was really great to sit there and listen to you and to have you outline all that you wanted to do, and really and listen and taking it in and using, I guess, some of my knowledge about you and how you knowledge about the podcast and knowledge about you as a person, you as a mother, and you as a business coach, and using that knowledge to be able to provide kind of like multi-level support, I think. And trying to listen and think about, okay, I'm hearing what she's telling me, picking on places where I felt like you were feeling a little, I guess, for lack of a better word, stressed about certain things, or things that were necessarily pain points, and things that you could reasonably do. I think that was fun. And then giving you reality checks too, because I think sometimes you're really hard on yourself.
The bar's very high.
The bar is very high. You have very high expectations of yourself. And I think there were times where you needed to just step back and realize that you were already doing a really great job. Acknowledging that, and then move forward and keep moving.
We split the meetings. We set a certain amount of time.
Yes.
For each person, and that person shares what they're working on, what they want, where they intend to go, and then the other person listens without interrupting, mainly. And then that other person, your partner, then comments and asks questions. So that's what you're speaking about. So then we would do that. The first person goes first, has that set amount of time. They share, and then we comment, we discuss. They have new takeaways from that, and then we'll switch to the other person. That way, you just really get into the world of the other person, and plus you're using the knowledge that, as you said, so my knowledge of you, we've been friends for 3 years, I think now, and was it 2.5 years? Something like that.
It seems like forever.
In a positive way, people.
Yes.
If I hear that you are not seeing all that you're doing, or seeing all that you're accomplishing, or you're not representing to others, if you need to be speaking to others, all of who you are, given who I know you are, given I know what you were up for in the world and what you've accomplished and all of that, then that's the way you use existing knowledge, and then wherever you're sharing, and then you're putting together. So sometimes it's that, sometimes it's encouragement, and sometimes it's like, I've got some questions. I'm curious about what has you say that, because this is what I understand about you from before, or can you help me understand a bit more about how you intend to do that, because it feels like something may be missing, or that sounds really brilliant. I think you could really focus there, those types of things. So we're really listening and then seeing what's needed from, is it encouragement? Is it a challenge? Is it just questions that come from curiosity and clarity seeking? And if it's that, then that brings a new level of discussion.
Yeah. And I guess in short, it's just being present. Right? Showing up and being present.
Right. By the end of the time with wherever your slotted time is, your allotted time versus slotted, your allotted time, we end it, it's like, what are you taking away? What are you working on between now and the next time that we meet? So there's clarity around the actions, the next actions. So that's kind of how we structure. We usually have refreshments with us.
We do have refreshments with us, and then we're very... we use simple tools such as the timer on our phones to set a 45 minutes per person.
Yeah.
And then we record. We also use our phones to record when each person is speaking. And I found that recording has come to be super handy, because I'm thinking prior to our first November meeting, that I listened to the October meetings recording, and I was shocked by how much had happened in just those 3 weeks.
Right.
We each are assigned 45 minutes, but then we do tack on an additional 30 minutes to that time, right, Shirley?
Yes.
Because you can't have friends meet up and not talk about life.
We're really good at being task focused too. So we do wanna like connect, of course.
So the first 30 minutes are, I think it's usually 30 minutes,
Yeah.
right? And then we go in and chat. And then we have a hard end time because we both have busy lives and we have meetings that we have to attend
Right.
or we have to pick up the children from school.
Right.
So we have to get in, we do the work, and then we give each other a big hug and we set up a date for the next meeting.
Right. We then now know that our window for the next 3 or 4 weeks, it's usually a 3 week window. We've got
Mhm.
that amount of time to cause whatever we say we're going to cause in that period of time. What effect does it have for you of having that 3 week window?
Oh, surely, since I think what we've been doing, we've had 3 meetings. And can we talk about how in between those 3 meetings, we often are texting or we're calling each other
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with questions or
Right.
in distress?
That's right.
Oh, it's not
Yeah.
working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we talk about some of our gains in those times?
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
You've gone away and you've sent me photos of your course
Oh
that
yeah.
you.
Yeah. So I went, so one of the ways that one thing that I chose to do this time was I took myself on a work retreat, and as I was doing the work, I sent, and as I was mapping out the work, working on my program, I sent Martine pictures of what I was doing to show her. It was like, look, I'm doing it. Having someone who knows what I'm working on, knows what it's taking. Like we've had conversations what it's taking from me to up my level in that way, and being able to report and share when I'm feeling like I've got a win. And
Mhm.
the win, so the challenge isn't can I write a course? The challenge is can I fit this into the life that I have already, which is so full. Just even like taking myself on that work retreat, doing the work, and having someone who understands the spaces that I'm going through because I've shared them, to say, look, I've done this. It's been fantastic. There was another time recently when I called and I said, have you got 10 minutes? I was having a conversation with myself that wasn't helpful. So, and I knew that I needed to intervene because I was about to take the next stage in developing the course, which is a big which was a big part. And I was like, maybe I should change. Should I change it? The deadline? Should I shift the deadline back? It's not where I want to be. It's not as good as I want it to be. It's not meeting the standard that I want. And having the ability to speak to you and work that through with you. And it didn't even take that long in terms of our conversation, but to really just take me back and say, no, let's come back to what the outcome is. Let's come back to what I want.
Mm.
And understanding that my standards, I set the bar so high sometimes that it's like I can't always reach the bar, and it doesn't mean it's not a great thing, great product.
Yeah, because I think you wanted to do the work, the best work of your life. And I was like, you just need to do your best. Doing your best work ever is one thing, but doing your best work is something different. And
Right.
the two sound like they're the same, but they're not. It's just that time will tell if you've done your best life work, but all you can do is with each project that you have or everything that you're doing, try to do just your best. And
Right.
usually that's all that you need to focus on.
Right. Right. So that
Awesome.
was such a powerful distinction for me that I was like, no, I am doing my best in this time. I'm doing the best work I can do in this time. In the absence of having that ability to speak to you, I either would have gone on in my head for much longer. I mean, I don't know if I would have continued or not, who knows, but I would have gone in my head much longer. The journey even if I continued, it would have been with the same level of like inner critic
Mm-hmm.
running. And so it was a great way to kind of stop that
Mm-hmm. And then
happening.
to your point, to give the example of just 2 ways in which you really helped. So as a photographer, if you're trying to pitch yourself to get new work, you often have to show that you can actually do the work. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like saying if you're trying to sell a house, you really want to stage the house.
Right.
So basically we do little photo shoots that are staged photo shoots. And so this one I wanted to do would include waking up at dark 30, getting my makeup artist, my assistant, the models, getting in the car, driving 3.5 hours, go up a mountain, hike up a mountain, hike an hour and a half up a mountain, taking photos, pass wasps, avoid snakes, shoot for like 2.5 hours, then walk down the mountain in the dark. And then drive 3.5 hours back. So then we're home a little bit after midnight. I didn't want to do this, but I knew it was actually absolutely necessary. And so I finally did it, and it was amazing.
Good.
And I think I was sending you photos of along the way, and then I was able to show you exactly the selects we had from the photo shoot. And that was amazing, because it was something I did not want to do because it would involve so much work.
Right.
But I did it. And then the second example was that there was this award that this fellowship I wanted to apply to. And I spent 3 weeks working on my application. And I say, "Hey, Shirley, do you have a few minutes? Can I send you my application?" And she said, "Sure." So I send you my application, and then fast forward like 15 minutes, I'm driving. She's like, "Do you have time to talk?" And I was like, "Sure." I pull over, and you basically make me rewrite the whole and the deadline, and I thought I was done, everyone. But Shirley makes
the deadline was the next day or the day after or something.
The deadline was the next day, and I spent an additional 4 hours rewriting the thing and sending it back to you, and then you working on the phone while I'm cooking dinner, helping me tighten it and making it better. But it worked because I won the darn thing.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so it's just, and I think,
and let me just before I want to say what the feedback and why it was really interesting, because knowing that you had the deadline and knowing what I had read was not reflective of who you are and all that you have to bring and what you had shared with me. I think that was the thing. It's like, this isn't the Martine that I know that she shared, that who she is and what she wants. It doesn't represent who she is. I don't know why it was like that. There was some parts of it that was really great, and there was some parts that was like, this isn't who Martine is or is up for and what she's actually doing in the world. And it doesn't. And that's about, sometimes we just don't sell ourselves strongly.
Exactly.
As we could do. Like, you've been named in an article as a photographer, a fashion photographer to watch. There was an article, there was something like that.
Yes, it was in Vogue.
In Vogue. Okay, so you're in Vogue named as one of the fashion photographers to watch and to look out for, because you're emerging in work that you're doing. And that wasn't even in the application. I was like, so it was those things, because we don't always want to blow our own trumpet so loudly, but that was an opportunity to blow your trumpet so loudly. So those are things like, how do I say, it wasn't an easy conversation to have, because I knew that it would require more work. But it was like this, if you represent who you really are. And I think that's another thing about the work that we do together, is like, sometimes my job is to hold the mirror up so you can really see yourself. And sometimes your job is to hold the mirror up so I can really see myself, because when we're in it, we stop really truly seeing all of who we are and all that we're bringing and all the work that we're doing. And that's the power of the partnership. So and you had a lot, and you turned it around, man. You did a stonking.
Yes. And then, the thing is, the feedback I got was that the essay was it was wonderful. And I went back and reread it, and I was like, oh, darn, this thing's good. So, I mean, it's really interesting, because I think the magic of the of being accountability partners is to hold that mirror up,
Mm-hmm.
and to help push each other to be more of the person that we do want to be
Yeah.
and the person we do want to become, because you can get mired in the everyday and in not wanting to go that extra step, go the extra mile to, I guess in essence, you need to short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah.
There were
Yeah.
times where I didn't want to do what was really uncomfortable, but
Yeah.
it's completely necessary.
And so there's times when the mirror is also saying, "Can I just tell you how bloody brilliant you're being right now? Can I just tell you how awesome it is that you got that award? Can I just tell you, like, can we just pause for a second and just really acknowledge how big this is in our development, in our
Mm-hmm.
movement?" I think there's so much in us really stopping long enough to see how much it's taking from us to produce the results,
Mm-hmm.
and then to spend some time just wallowing in the result of it, before,
Mm-hmm.
because what I think both of us, if there's a development area for both of us, and you can say whether you think this is true, but is we're so driven to accomplish that we can just move on to the next thing quite quickly without fully
Without,
getting
yes, and without celebrating the accomplishment
right,
itself, right?
right. And you got to celebrate the wins, large and small,
Mm-hmm.
en route to wherever you're heading.
Right.
Because wherever you're heading, the truth is, wherever I'm heading, when I arrive there, there'll be some other new learning arc that I'll create for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that's how I know that's how I am.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're celebrating the wins, large and small, as we go, well, because we always get there and go, oh, okay, what's next? Like
Exactly. It
it's
really is. And I think that's why I really love that. And I knew how difficult it was for you as you're creating your course to start recording each of the modules
mm-hmm,
and hiring Cassandra, who's, your video person, to come
mm,
in and choosing the outfits and designing the set, and actually doing it. And I was so pleased and overjoyed when you called me and say, "Do you have a second?" And we FaceTime, and then we watched that video of you doing your welcome module. And
yeah,
and I can't, even now as I'm saying it, I'm just smiling because I just go back to thinking, that first meeting that we had during our first accountability meeting, and how we were chatting about this is what you were going to do. And then you sending me the photo of having written the modules, and then now I'm seeing it done,
right,
right?
right.
And I just can you remember that day in August on the beach and us talking about doing all of that we've done?
Yeah,
Like talking about the dream for what we wanted done
mm-hmm,
now, or what we wanted to do, and now we've done it.
yeah. Or
And I just,
in the midst of doing it. I
yes,
don't feel like I mean, yeah, because there's still work. There's still work to be done, but I'm in it, doing it,
you're in it.
versus talking about it.
Yes.
I'm in it, doing it, versus talking about it. And I've spent a lot of time talking about it because I couldn't see how to make it happen in the very packed life that I have.
Mm. But somehow you made room.
And I have made room. And I'm not sure where I'm making the room from.
I know. And that is so the truth. There's always room. You'll find
Yeah,
the
you
room
have to,
somewhere.
something's going, something's
Yeah.
dropping. It requires being creative with what you do. It requires, and it doesn't mean that I don't have stress, and because I still have stress around it. I still have stress about how am I going to fit this in? What am I doing? And with all the other commitments I have with my clients, because making sure I'm not dropping the ball on my other work as I develop this work. And
I want to talk a little bit about how we've both made room, because I think our loads are heavier, And for me, one thing that's made a huge difference, because my
Right.
husband travels quite a bit, what's really helped is the fact that my mother came to help me during these 12 weeks. Well, she's here for 6 weeks,
Wow.
um, and that's been amazing because and one of the things that we chatted about, I think we chatted about work goals, but we also chatted about personal goals.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my personal goals was to go back and really just focus on my health. Yes, I wanted specifically to lose weight, but then I also wanted to feel fit. The way that I'm able to do it is, I found the time by going to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And because that was the only time that it would work. My mother, she's here because when my husband isn't here, I can still go at 5 o'clock in the morning because
Right.
she's here with my son. And so some of the other things that's happening is that just I have to be more focused with my day. I have to plan it down often to the second. I don't feel that I'm missing out on anything though. I don't feel What's really interesting is I don't feel that I'm still seeing my friends. My life is still the same. It's just that I'm more focused when I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've gained, I guess I'm more productive in some ways, or maybe that my mindset has shifted to just allow for more goodness to come in my life. I can't explain it, surely, but there's throughout the process of having you as an accountability partner, there's been a mind shift that's happened in terms of maybe it's because I'm seeing you and all that you're accomplishing and knowing that it's all possible, or maybe it is because I'm doing more and I'm crossing off all of the things on my list that have
Mm-hmm.
been dream things and I'm just doing them. For some reason, there's an ease that's coming with the whole process. It doesn't mean that it's not painful. It doesn't mean that this past weekend didn't sleep very much.
Mm-hmm.
Got home at 1, went on another shoot, got home from a shoot at 1, went to another shoot at 6:30,
Right.
came home at 9:30, had breakfast and went out to another one. It doesn't mean that I'm not very busy. It doesn't mean that it's not a little bit stressful at times, but it's stressful but ease. It's stress with ease. It's
Mm.
difficult to explain it, but and I suppose the ease comes from knowing that I'm doing exactly what I want to do and I'm really enjoying.
That's so interesting because what I know to be true in my experience and in my experience of working with others is when you are in pursuit of your own goals or what you want, and you are it's in alignment, your actions are in alignment with that, that's where the kind of ease and grace comes from.
Mhm.
And then kind of when things start to show up, it's like there's a magic that starts to happen as well, that's where it becomes inexplicable. But it still requires you doing stuff. It still requires you taking action, and you're working really hard, but you're accomplishing and getting validation through the work that you're doing because it's in alignment with what you want to do. And so and the other side of that, with the self-care piece, is an important piece. So for example, I knew that after I had 2 weeks of intense design around my course and then recordings and stuff like that, it was a light intense couple of weeks. And so I scheduled my duvet day for the Saturday after that last day of filming that I did. Well, it's not the last day, but that was the end of a 2 week period, and I knew that I was going to be done. So I put in a self-care day the following day. I mean, I'm at the gym in the morning. I have to be at the gym at 6 for the 6 a.m. opening, or as early as I can, because I am at 6 a.m. at the gym. My gym opens at 6, because if I don't do it at the front end of my day, it's not going to get done. But I
Mhm.
am also making sure that I'm getting sleep the other end too,
Mhm.
the other times I'm getting into bed at a certain time. So my focus is around, I have been lucky that my husband hasn't traveled during a key period. So it meant that he could take the kids to school that week, or take Ethan to school that week. So there's things that have aligned in that way. And I'm enjoying life.
Mhm.
Life is working.
And
Wow.
I saw how you and Dan went on your little date yesterday.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
weekend away for our anniversary still happens. We went
Yeah.
on a day, we went on a family lunch the weekend before. Those things are still important and they still are happening. Those things don't get dropped, because that's the other thing that can often happen with work. We lose focus on the people who are right in front of us, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really important to think about proactively. How we making sure we're still paying attention and investing in those relationships and the people that we care about the most and love the most.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, so why do you think so you have this just a couple of things, because I know that you've had accountability a partner before. One thing you said to me, I've had it before and it didn't really work. What was it that didn't work about it, do you think? Because there might be people who are listening going, well, I've had accountability partners and it's not like this. Why do you think
Well, I've had two before, and I think I've had two before, and I've been the one pushing for it because I've always been looking for an accountability partner.
okay?
And I think I've been the one pushing. And you can't have, in most relationships, when it's one person who's the driver,
Mm-hmm.
and the other person isn't, they don't really care as much, I guess, that it can come apart. It can
Okay.
fall apart. I think because I was the one who was really pushing for it, suggesting the meeting times and so on and so forth, that it never lasted past two meetings.
Okay.
And I think the other thing that's worked for us is that we have our meetings in person. And my accountability partners have been in California, and I'm in the Midwest. So perhaps there's something that has to be. Maybe it's because we're both in the same place, and
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to call each other, and that's been working really well. Surprising to me though, Shirley, is that you'll just text or you'll say, "Can you chat really quickly?" So we kind of check in with each other, and that's one thing I wasn't expecting. I don't know if you've done that before
Mm-hmm.
with your accountability partners. I've not done that before. We haven't checked in between meetings and
Okay.
before, and I find that it's really good. It's really good because again, it goes back to sharing our wins. It goes back to checking in when we're struggling,
Mm-hmm.
or when we're having a particularly difficult day. Um, and I think sometimes it's not even about the other person talking you off the ledge, but it's just that you need to be heard.
Yes.
Um, and just being heard and just saying out loud the process of saying, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. And just hearing it and sharing it really it's like taking the load off of your shoulder and setting it down.
Yeah.
And so then you could look at what's in your basket, and but that's weighing down the basket, making it heavy. And sometimes you could just take all of the things that aren't necessarily to success out of that basket, and then all of a sudden that basket is really light, and it's just there, and it holds only the things that you need that are essential to your journey.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. I have done that before with the accountability. For me, an accountability partner is beyond just having someone, which is what I think we're sharing. It's beyond just having someone where you're reporting, this is what I'm doing, and you can hold me accountable because I've given you these my deadlines. It really is the kind of support relationship, champion each other, and the touch bases in between are the things that keep you moving in between when you need it. And whether, as you said, whether it's encouragement, whether it's just giving feedback, like, here you go, this is just sharing with you that I'm on it, and I'm working on it, or I'm nailing it. And then the other is I said, like, because our inner voice can run riot, and so when we're just like, can you just like listen for a minute? Last thing I want to say about it, it's fun
Oh, it
as
is
well.
fun.
It's enjoyable. I love that we are sharing this journey together. It's our individual journeys, but the joint journey of going for something and accomplishing something, and really the fulfillment of a vision that we have for ourselves, that we're playing that game together.
I've learned to think bigger through our conversations and through our meetings, because I think that they're in some ways I tend to skew towards playing small. I dream big, but then I'm like, oh, let's just scale it back. Let's just do this right here. And I think in terms of hearing you and how you go for it. You're like, you don't hold yourself back. You're like, why go for this when I could just go for like 10x? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can go for 10x what I want.
Right.
And you're like, and you're just totally like, yeah, why not? Let's not play small, let's play big. Hearing that the first time, you said this at our first meeting. Then again, you said it at our second meeting. At our last meeting, you said it. And I have to say, Shirley, when you see someone playing big, showing up and expecting that big things will happen, then in return, you start playing bigger because you can see it. You see it happening, and then you start saying, well, how else can I play bigger? How else can I show up in a different way? And I think it's amazing that I've started to change. And I'm glad that we're going down this road together, because I have an accountability partner unofficially as a gym partner, because honestly, getting up at 4:30 to be at the gym by 5 is not something that I enjoy. I don't want to do it. Let's be honest.
Who wants to do that?
No one wants to do it. But I have someone who will be there waiting in the car with me outside. We'll drive over together, and my neighbor and I belong to the same gym. So it's like, okay, 5 a.m. tomorrow, 5 a.m. Woohoo! It works really well. And so because I know that she's going to be there, I'm going to show up. And she says the same thing. She knows I'm going to be there, so she's going to show up. And I think, and then we push each other at the gym, and it's the same thing here. You know, I see you owning it and playing it big, and I think I have given myself no other choice because I see it being modeled, and so then why not me too?
Thank you for saying that, and good for you, man, for playing big. And it's playing big, and it's like, because why not?
Yes, why not?
I've kind of always been like that, looking for the next thing. Where am I going next? How am I upping my level? And then more recently with Mum's loss, it's just been like, well, why the hell not? You know? You just get present to life and what you're here for, and and then I got osteoporosis, and then it's just like, okay, come on, you really. So those are my drivers, my catalysts for it too, and then I know how to course the things that I want in life. So to go for it, I'm really happy that you are really seeing your, like you vision big, and you're matching your vision in your actions, and then eventually your life will mirror that which you want it to be exactly, and then there'll be your vision again, and that's how we keep expanding who we are and growing, and it's the whole of the holistic us, not just the work us, which is also what I think is important.
One of the things that's really important is, as the listeners, if they're thinking about creating or finding someone to be their accountability partner, I think it's important to find someone who has a generous spirit, because you need to have someone who is going to be there, who will be your cheerleader and will not be afraid that that person's success means that you'll fail. You know what I mean? There can't be jealousy. I haven't ever felt jealous of what you're going for, because for me, your success does not diminish what I will in turn achieve.
Right.
I don't feel like that there is, just because you have success, then I won't have any, or you're taking, your success means that you're taking success away from me. I think it's really important that you come up with we never did this. Like, we didn't come up with, we say that there's a ground rule of like no a-holes or don't be mean. Like, I don't think we ever had to say that, because we're not that type of, we're just not like that. But I think it's important that that you engage in a relationship, in an accountability relationship with someone who's there to support you and not to tear you apart.
Right. Right. I think
Because
that's a good point. Yes.
this relationship, this accountability, because I've never said to you, you want to do what? Oh, please, you'll never do it. I've never said that.
No.
And I don't think you would ever say that in
No.
turn to me. One of the things that we have done is kind of like questioned how we've prioritized what we want to do.
Right.
You know, you've said, what's essential here? Maybe you should be really focused. You should focus on what's essential and do that first. And then maybe you could do the other things.
Right.
But you've never said you're dreaming too big.
No.
You've never said you'll never get that done. And I don't think I've ever said it in turn to you. So you have to enter into a relationship with someone who's going to help build you. And I think, and at the same time too, we've both, I don't know if we give each other tough love.
What I hear you saying is you want to do X. Where you say you're going to put your focus in is Y. Is that going to get you there? So can you look at that again? I think tough love is when you want what's best for the person from who they say they are and what they say they want. Mm-hmm. Not who I think you should be or what I think you should do.
And not me either.
And being willing to give the feedback from a loving place.
Exactly.
And that I think what you're saying is really true, that there's generosity of spirit, there's love, and that your success doesn't diminish my success. What your success does is it inspires my success, which is different. This has been fantastic. Thank you for sharing yourself and sharing our journey and being willing to be a guest for us to share this together rather than me talking about accountability. It's like bringing it to life, and I'll just, there'll be a summary on a PDF that people can download that just gives them a checklist on their accountability partner. But I think this is really powerful in bringing to life what accountability partnership can be and what we're creating together and where we're heading with it too, together but separate. On our own, we're on our own games, but we're on the joint game to support each other in it. And I think that's really important because we have a really good, loving relationship, friendship, and on the foundation of that have built this. And if people are out there looking for people to be their accountability partner, I think you're right. That has got to be one of the criteria. Are they generous of spirit? And are they gonna how they challenge you? Is it a way that's supportive, or is it a way that diminishes you and makes you feel like I can't do it? Because if you walk away from the meeting and think I'm rubbish, I can't do it, then that isn't the place to walk away from the meeting. That isn't a person who's holding you accountable. You can, I think that's a really great point actually, that almost didn't get said. So. So thank you, Martine.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that you've been inspired to shift gears in your life. I really hope you take away a couple of key things about this episode. The first thing to take away is when you are playing a big game, make sure that you set up a structure of people who are supporting you in some way. Because when we play big, it will drive up for us our anxiety. It will drive up for us our concerns, as well as our excitement and our pursuit of the thing that we care about, that we're passionate about. And sometimes those concerns and anxiety can get in our way. And so the accountability partner is such a good structure for making sure that you get on track and then you stay on track. And it creates speed is the other thing. If you want to move more smoothly, more quickly with some velocity, then an accountability partner is the way to go. So I am so grateful to Martine and what she's provided me. I know that I'm providing something for her too, it's a relationship that's working out really, really well, and long may it continue to work out really, really well. And I think one of the other things that's been a good, strong foundation for us is that we were friends before, and so there's a lot that we knew about each other, but not, and we're a friendship that doesn't allow each other to just get off, like, let me say it again. We're like a friendship that doesn't like allow each other to play small. So that's important. That's critical, in fact, in terms of an accountability partner. So I'm so grateful to her. I'm excited to find out what you are getting from this episode. And the other thing I want to let you know is that I'm going to start doing Facebook Lives that follow the episodes. So after the episodes, whatever theme has emerged, I'm going to be, I think, on a Tuesday lunchtime around midday. I think I'll do noon. And Tuesday noon, I will go on Facebook Live and then just have brief conversations about the themes that are emerging in the last episode of She's Got Drive, or previous episodes of She's Got Drive. And I'm curious to hear what's you're taking away, what you're hearing, that we can get into a kind of a conversation about that, because I want to be as helpful as I can. I want to like learn as much as I can to see what else you need in order to really live your life by design and not default. So that's what I'm going to start doing. So look out for the Facebook Lives starting on the 19th of November at noon, and then every Tuesday from that day. Look out for that. I'm excited about that, connecting with you. She's Got Drive is produced by Cassandra Voltalina. The music is by the awesome or female band Blonde. The song is called Circles. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, go well and stay well.